Okay, welcome to another episode of TesterSpeak special feature, and I'm your host Brijesh Deb. And with me today is one of my heroes, Raj Subrameyer. He has, he is a bundle of energy. And just a short while ago, I was talking to him about him being such a great source of energy. He has been talking in a lot of conferences, doing a lot of meetups, workshops. He is a great tester, trainer. He likes sharing his journey, which makes it really interesting for us to learn. And recently, he has written a book, Skyrocket Your Career. And Raj, welcome to the show. I have been waiting for your book so eagerly. In the Netherlands, there was a 9 weeks waiting period when I ordered your book. What have you done, man?
First of all, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be on your show. And I know you have a lot of amazing guests, and I'm glad to be part of it. Yeah, in terms of the book, I'm very grateful and lucky, I would say, because our
You have
testing
a copy.
community.
You have a copy with you now, so that you can show the
Oh,
audience.
I do. I have actually 100 books over here because I still have to send people. So this is a book.
Yeah.
It's Skyrocket Your Career. The no bullshit approach to find your dream job, be successful in it, and transform into a rock star. And it's only 99 pages because when I said no bullshit in the subtitle, I literally meant no bullshit because I straight away give you strategies on different parts of your career, right? And it's only 99 pages. And because of the testing community, mm, my book had a great reception and it was out of stock within 2 weeks internationally. In India, it's still actually out of stock, the paperback, but the ebook is available. I'm really lucky, man, because the community supported me and I became a best-selling author. My book hit rank 5 on the bestseller list in the jobs and careers category. It hit number 1 new release thrice and has been out of stock. So first of all, thank you for ordering my book. And yes, sorry, just 9 weeks because Amazon is trying to restock it. So the way it works is initially before the book goes live, they'll have say 100 books, right?
So
Because they want to keep.
you know what? I ordered it the day you launched it, and immediately
Oh, okay.
it showed a waiting period. Initially, it showed a waiting period, and then suddenly I realized it's a 9 week waiting period, and I'm like, ah, okay, no problem. I will wait for it. I will have my patience, but I will read your book. so, so otherwise,
Yeah,
I would
because
have shown it. Thank you for sharing that. The audience, I want to say that I am going to put the link to that book in the description of this video. You can check it out yourself, read it. I have read the reviews. Excellent work, Raj. Thank you so much for doing this for all of us. I mean, this is massive.
thank you. Yeah, my goal was to share my experiences and strategies which have helped me. Uh, and I hate it when people complicate things. They use all the, as testers, we know we have to use, people use all these jargons to make it unclear. And I wanted to dumb it down into simple, effective steps, which has proven to do a lot of great stuff for me and also people I've helped, right? So hopefully that's what this book is doing and that's why people are buying it. And so I'm super excited about it.
Awesome, awesome. So before we talk a little more about your book, uh, one very basic question: how did you get started? What's your journey been like? Do you want to share some light on that?
Oh, yeah. So when I was born, no, I'm just kidding. We can fast forward a little bit. But the point is, yeah, it's good that we are talking about my background because it's really important for me to set some context for your audience. Because people think I'm always with this energy, I'm this great speaker, but they don't know what are the struggles and the things I had to go through, right? So here is a background about how I got to where I am today. So I was born in Chennai, in southern part of India. Of course, from my accent, you hear this crazy accent, which is not American, which is not Indian. That is because, yeah, I somehow kind of got an accent being here and talking for so long. But yeah, I grew up in Chennai, and I was the younger of the two kids. I have an elder brother. And since a young age, I had this inferiority complex that I wasn't good enough and I didn't matter, right? That's because my dad studied his entire life in scholarship. And then you had my brother who has 3 masters and a PhD. And
Ooh.
then there was this average Raj who didn't do well in anything, sports, academics, dating, not you name it. I was really average. And as we know, growing up in an Asian Indian community, academics is something which is always pushed, right? And so what happened was I started comparing myself with other overachievers around me, in my family, around my friend circle, and I tried to live up to their expectations. But every time I tried to do that, I ended up getting disappointed because I could never rise up to people's expectations. And doing it again and again throughout my childhood ended up giving me anxiety, stress, depression. I had fear of rejection. I felt like an outcast because no one thought anything good about me. They thought I didn't matter. And I thought, okay, that was my way of life. And I continued to live that life until my second year of my undergrad, because that's when things things started changing for me. So during my second year of my undergrad, I still remember this. I was a lot of people may not know this, but I can tell it in your platform. So I was sitting in my study room in Chennai, and all of a sudden I can feel a lot of pain in my chest. So I didn't know what was happening, and I was sweating, and then my hands were shaking, my body was trembling, and I went and sat down on a chair, and I could feel that I slowly started, my eyes started tearing up, and then I could feel the tears trickling down my cheeks, and I was filled with so much emotions, and the pain in my chest kind of started transferring towards my head, because right now it was not just physical pain, but I also had mental pain, because 20 years of living a life for other people, trying to please other people, I had all these emotions bottled up inside me, and it kind of exploded because I realized that I was living another person's reality. So I was trying to not disappoint other people, but by doing that, I was disappointing myself. I was letting other people's opinions be my reality. And that's when I had this epiphany that, man, I wasted the first 20 years of my life not doing what I wanted to do. And that's when I decided, you know what? Screw this shit. I know I matter. I know I'm good enough. I know I can strive for greatness. I can carve my own identity. And that's when I declared power over my life, right? And this happened during my second year of my undergrad. And since then, I've tried so many different things, experiments with my life. And then I identified what my fears were. We'll talk about that as well. And then it was a slow, gradual process over the past 15 to 16 years that led me to transform my life from a shy, introverted, minimum earning salary software tester into an international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and tech career coach who is running a six-figure business, right? That transformation would not have happened if not for this trigger event. So that is kind of my overall story on how I kind of started and where I am today. And of course, through that journey, there's some landmark things apart from this trigger event, which I just mentioned. We can talk about that, but that's kind of the overall picture about how I got to what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. I mean, you can see, audience, that if you really want to change things, you can do it. I mean, you don't have to wait for that trigger to happen to you. But Raj, through his example, has given a good message that if you really feel strongly about something, if you feel that you're stuck, break the shackles yourself. And that's what he has done. And and the great things you've achieved. We will talk more about that, but I want to go a little inside your testing journey. So
Right.
you started as a software tester in India. You started your career in
Yeah.
India as a
Yeah.
tester.
I worked in India for uh, 3-4 years, and then came to the US to do my master's in software engineering. Yeah. But since the start, I've been a software tester, then moved into development. Then I hated development, then got back into testing. And yeah, so I've been a technical person, but I love testing. So yeah, I've been in software testing for a while now.
So, what, according to you, are some of the pain points that you think that testers have these days?
That's a great question. And it's also a question like, uh, what do you like about computers, right? Because there's so many different struggles we go through. So before I answer that question, I think your audience will get a kick out of this story of how I got into software testing.
Please.
Then we'll touch upon the pain points because it'll be a good transition there. So as I was saying, from my second year of my undergrad, I did a lot of things to get out of my comfort zone and overcome some of my fears. And during my fourth year of my undergrad, it was campus recruitment season, and companies were coming to my college campus for interviews. I was actually pretty good at interviews, except for the final round of the interview, when I had this final um, interview meeting with someone, and then I always used to screw it up. So I still remember this. This was way back in 2006, and I attended 22 interviews in a period of 2.5 months during the campus recruitment season, right? And more than half of them, I went to the final round, but then I kept failing because I thought that job is my life and I had that mentality. But during my final interview, the 22nd interview, I remember that I said, you know what, screw this shit. I'm just going to go there. Whatever happens, happens. And that's how I got a job. And when they gave me the job, it's funny. They said, "Hey Raj, we really like you. We have a software developer position, and that's what we're going to hire you for. But we also wanted to talk to you about another position called software testing." Then I said, "What is software testing?" They said, "Yeah, it's a new field where we you have to try to find problems in the software. You have to try to figure out what mistakes the developers are making, and then you have to log issues and then explore things." I thought, that sounds really cool and sexy. So let me take the software testing job. And that's the true story of how I actually got into software testing, because I just thought it was different, right? And talking about what are some of the challenges and obstacles testers face and what I faced. So I joined the software testing role in the company. And at that point of time, and you could probably relate to this as well, like around the 2006, 2007 timeframe, it was still not that well known. There were not a lot of people talking about software testing. So it was still new. And even the automation tools, like we had this big clunky automation tools we were using. So no one actually took software testing that seriously, which meant they didn't take me seriously as a software tester, right? And they they used to have a product and then they would say, yeah, let's ship it. Yeah, you do some testing for like 10-15 minutes and then we'll just ship it, right? And that was kind of the mentality. And that happened for like 3-4 months, but then I was tired of people treating me like shit because they didn't value what I do, and they thought that anyone can be a software tester. So the challenges were, I was feeling insecure. No one was taking me seriously. I wasn't getting recognized for my skill set. I could still code and do a lot of stuff, but people do not talk about that. They just brand me as a software tester, as a job which anyone can do. That was the branding. And I had all this self-doubt whether I was in the right field. So I had two options, right? One option was I could switch companies or get into a software developer role, or try to make a name for myself in the software testing field in my company, because no one knew what the hell a software tester should do. So luckily, I chose the second option. And there were three things which I started doing. And for those listeners who are listening to this or watching, this may be useful to you even in this current generation as well, current year. There are three things you always want to do as a software tester. And this is what is going to take you to the next level. This is what is going to help you reach your goals. First thing is credibility. It's just like a product, right?
Yeah.
For example, people say, hey, buy this product. I would say, why the hell would I buy this product? Because you haven't proved to me why it's valuable to me.
Yeah.
Why should I take you seriously? What problem are you trying to solve for me? And testers' life are exact same thing. If you want people to make you take, if you want people to make you make you take, man, I can't speak English right now. If you want people to take you seriously, right, you have to first work on credibility. And
Yes.
how are you going to do that? So when I started in this company as a software tester after 4 months, right, I did a couple of things. One was I volunteered to do all the shitty things no one else wanted to do. If there was some complex thing which people didn't want to touch because it just time consuming, I wanted to do that. If there was some menial job which takes time, but people do not want to do that, I wanted to do that. Because this is the thing. When you volunteer to do things which consumes a lot of time, money, or is really problematic, and if you solve it, find a solution for it, then people start recognizing you.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what I started doing. So I started volunteering for all the things people didn't want to do. And I used to tell my manager saying, hey, I see that there's this VB. At that time, we were using VB script, but these VB scripts and the macros are not working properly for our test plan, which populates things. And we're still doing this manually. Would it be okay with you, if I just spend an hour or two looking at it and see whether I could try something? He said, go at it. They didn't care. But then I was able to fix the VB script, and then it could automatically populate data, and it helped to save like 30 minutes of time every day. Now people started talking, hey, Raj, this is awesome, man. It saves time. Now, when another opportunity comes in, they have me in mind because I did a shitty task, a problematic task, and then I found a solution, right? So if you are a tester and if you think that people are not taking you seriously, then start establishing credibility by doing volunteering for things which people do not want to do. That is one thing. Second thing you want to do is keep this mantra in mind, which is undersell, overperform.
Right.
So what do I mean by that? Say, for example, just like in Agile, they'll say they do story point estimation, like 3.5 points. And we want to add some buffer when you give points, like 5 points or 3 point story, because you want enough time for testing, you want enough time for development, for discussion. And our daily tasks are the same way in the company as well. Whenever they say, hey, here's the task A, how long is it going to take? What are you going to do is you figure out how much time it'll take for you to do it. Say the task A is going to take 3 days. What you're going to do is you're going to say, I can finish the task in 4 days. And then in 2.5 days, try to finish the task. And for the next 1.5 days, try to put your stamp on that. Try to do something extra, which people will notice, which will help people, right?
Yep.
And that is underselling, overperforming, where you commit to what the minimal viable product, and then when you deliver, you over deliver, right? Because there's this amazing, I'm a sucker for inspirational quotes, as you can see from my t-shirt, and my whole office is filled with inspirational quotes. One of the quotes which is really close to my heart is this: if you want to be extraordinary, you need to go the extra mile. If you
Yes.
want to be extraordinary, you need to go the extra mile. And that's what you're doing when you're underselling and overperforming. You commit to something, but then you deliver something, you put your stamp on it, see what can be made better. And that's what is going to differentiate you from other people around you,
Yep.
right? So That's a credibility part. And then quickly, two more things I wanted to mention in terms of how we can overcome challenges as testers is trust. So the more you deliver products on time, the more you deliver quality work, people start trusting you. And that is so important. And again, keep this in mind. Compare yourself to a product. What will make you buy a product? It's the exact same thing. What will make you what will make people take you seriously? It's the exact same thing. So credibility, establish trust, where you constantly always deliver on time, help other people around you, and then you are slowly going to develop a reputation. And then finally, you have to build your personal brand. So I so this I did the credibility and the trust part in my job, and then I came to the US to do my master's, and then I worked at 7 other companies here in the US, and I added one more factor to get me ahead of a lot of other people, and it was building your personal brand. Because this is the thing, people, it's 2021. Millions of people have lost their jobs. In fact, in the US alone, 30 million jobs have been lost. So the odds are, for every job you're applying for, there are 1,000 other people applying for the same freaking job. So why are they going to give you the job compared to other people? And that's where your personal branding comes into picture.
Absolutely.
A sorry, go ahead. You're saying something?
No, I said absolutely.
Right. And this is how I compare personal brand. And it's like your favorite body wash. Say you're buying this Old Spice body wash, or for the Indian listeners, I don't know what brand, what Lifebuoy soap. I don't. It was way back in 2007. But say you're buying Lifebuoy soap for 8 years. It's not because you're buying the Lifebuoy soap just because of one factor, right? It's not just because of the color. It's not just because of fragrance. It's not just because of the packaging. It's just not because of the cost. But it's about all these factors which is making you buy that soap again and again. And our personal brand is the same way.
Exactly.
It's not only your degree. It's not only about you establishing credibility, but it's also about what else do you do apart from your job? What else do you do to make other people's lives better? So it's these multiple facets of you which builds your personal brand.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started doing.
What value you bring in?
Exactly. What value you bring
being
in?
you. If I were to say, well, I'm going to hire Raj. What value does Raj bring in being Raj himself? So yeah, absolutely, I agree with you.
Right. It's like two oranges, right? Both oranges look the same. But if one orange, you shine it better, and then you wash it, and then you serve that orange in a pretty plate, people try to pick that compared to the other orange which you just handed over to people. And our personal brand is the same way. And talking about personal brand, this is something which is going to be the key in 2021 for us testers to get to wherever we want to get to, right? And the next question, the obvious question, is going to be, okay, Raj, this is all well and good, building personal brand, but what do you mean by that? How do you do it? So here are like 3 things quickly I can tell you to build your personal brand. First thing, you need to be active on LinkedIn. So if people listening are watching this video, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, please pause this video right now. Go back, create a LinkedIn profile, and then come back to this podcast, because LinkedIn profile is your baby. It's one of the most underrated and high value social media platforms for tech professionals like us, because your dream job, your next opportunity, the next person who can help you out is right there on LinkedIn. And you need to use that to your advantage. And you have so many strategies you could follow on LinkedIn, which again, we can talk about it later if you want. I also cover that in the book. But the key is you have to connect with people who you feel are adding value to your life, who you feel is adding value to the community. And start following them, start commenting on their posts, then start networking with them, start knowing them on a personal level. Because this is the thing, my last 4 jobs was from LinkedIn. It's been 9 years, since I actually submitted a resume to a job. That's because LinkedIn helped me connect with the people who are looking for people like me. And it just happens through conversations all of a sudden, right? For example, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and a person saw me speaking at a conference about mobile web testing, which was huge at that point of time. This was way back in 2000, I think 12, 13 timeframe. And then out of the blue in a week, a person calls me and says, "Hey, Raj, I saw you speaking at this conference and you had amazing strategies, tips, and things you did. I'm looking for a person who could build and head the mobile testing division for Expedia. Would you be interested in it?" I said no. But after 5 days, one thing led to another. I got a job and I also decided to move to Chicago from Cleveland, Ohio. So that's a simple example of how this person knew me from LinkedIn. Then she saw me speak. Then she contacted me via LinkedIn. Then we got on a call and that led to a job, right? So LinkedIn is super powerful. And quickly, two more things which you could do is, yes, I know it's COVID right now. It's hard to have attend in-person conferences or meetups. But this is the thing. It doesn't mean that you can still not network or connect with people. Simple examples is meetup. And here's a secret strategy which I've used to connect with whoever I want to, and I'm giving it to you right now. So say you're attending a meetup group, say Brijesh, you have a meetup on agile testing frameworks, right? I'm just giving you a random
Yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah.
And say 15 people register for it. So what you're going to do is, when I say you, the listeners and the viewers, look at the people who have registered for the event, the attendee list, and say, for example, I'm attending Brajesh's meetup. My name will be there, Raj Subrameyer, as attendees. What you're going to do right now is literally take that name, go to LinkedIn, use the search bar and click on enter. You'll get my whole profile on what my interest areas are, what do I do, and what I'm passionate about. And say, if you want to become a developer advocate or like want to get into leadership roles, and I have that experience, and you think that I have all the information you need, what you're going to do is look at my profile and see what I'm interested in. So if anyone goes to my LinkedIn profile, you know that I talk about career advancement, I talk about AI. So literally, you're going to send me a message saying, "Hey, Raj, I saw that you're attending this meetup event which Brijesh is hosting, and I'm attending it as well. I saw that you're a developer advocate and you've done so many great things. Would you have 15 minutes to just give me some insights into how to be a developer advocate and what it takes?" And the key here is you should say 15 minutes, not 30 minutes, not 60 minutes, because the human mind is more tuned towards 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But this is the kicker, right? This is the interesting fact. You will say 15 minutes, but if you did good research about me and talk to my interests, that 15-minute call could turn into 30 minutes to 60 minutes to 2 hours. And that's how you're going to network with people from meetups, and you can apply the same strategy for conferences. Like when you go to conferences, see who the speakers are, connect with them on Twitter before the conference, establish that relationship, and then at the conference, attend their events, and then talk about how their event helped you. And that's how you network and build your brand. But yeah, as you can see, I can keep talking about a lot of strategies about building a personal brand. But these things which I just mentioned right now, I think is going to be really helpful for anyone who wants to grow in their career and go to the next level.
Well, I think those were absolutely insightful tips from you. And what helps us people is the fact that it is all coming from Raj's personal experience. It is not made up, it is not from a storybook, it is all from his own personal experience. Thank you, Raj, for sharing those. And on the same lines, I have a question for you. How do you get better at what you're doing? How did you become what you are doing now? How did you become the Raj Subrameyer? Let me ask you. So
Wow, I wouldn't say the Raj Subrameyer, but but I would take it though. Thank you. That's a great question because it helps to give some insights into how people get to where they are, because there are a lot of struggles you have to go through, and there's a lot of things which you have to do to make a change, right?
yeah,
So let me start. Let's set some context here, and then I can give you some actionable strategies even the viewers can follow to get to where they want to be. So remember, I was telling you I attended 22 interviews and finally got a job, and I was so sick and tired at that point of time. I know it was a really horrifying experience for me, but one thing I learned from that whole experience is that I'm resilient. Whenever there's adversities, I keep pushing through, keep pushing through, keep pushing through, right? I'm like this mosquito. You keep biting, 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 biting. Then finally I will make an impact, right? Yeah, I know it's a very raw example, but it'll set some context. So in 2008, so I came to the US in 2008. I still remember this. I came on August 31st, 2008. And on September 7th, 2008, Lehman Brothers fell. So
yeah,
for those of you who do not know who Lehman Brothers were, they were one of the biggest financial firms based in the US. And they became bankrupt overnight. And that kind of started the whole recession, right?
yeah,
And getting jobs as an immigrant was really hard. As some of you know, you need a H-1B visa if you want to work in the United States. But no one was ready to sponsor me. It's like a similar situation we are in right now. And I had two choices to make. First choice was go back with half of the international students in my course where I was doing my master's in software engineering, and just go back to India and do there I could get whatever jobs I want. Or since I took student loans and put in so much effort to do my master's here, let's see whether I can find some loophole and let's do whatever it takes to see what happens, right? And luckily I chose the second option. And from the beginning of 2009 till the end of 2009, I applied for 1,293 jobs, 1,293 jobs. That's because I was tracking all my jobs in an Excel sheet. And guess how many callbacks I got from it?
I think I was on mute. How many?
I
I'm
got
not
four. I got four callbacks.
really.
Yeah. And for all the math nerds out there, it's a 0.3% conversion rate. And I converted one job out of it. And that too, it was not a full-time job, but it was an internship. And since then, I worked my ass off to prove to people that I can actually do work really well. And then luckily I converted that into a full-time job, right? The reason I'm sharing this story is me going through this experience in 2008, then again in 2006, and then I'll get to the 2011 story quickly so that it'll cover the whole range. But these experiences taught me that, yes, I was resilient. But the main point here was I shifted my mindset from a place of scarcity to abundance. What that means is I believed in myself that I had what it takes. Because people are not born great, they're made great by the effort they put, by the mindset they have. When you come out of the womb, you're not immediately Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. It is what you do that defines you. And that's the realization I came to when I did all these things in 2009 and 2010, right? That was one thing. That is the mindset and the belief system that I am worth it. I matter. I'm good enough. I'm on this earth for a reason. I have my own skill sets, right? So it starts with first shifting your mindset and belief system. Second thing is you write down all the fears which have been haunting you. For me, I had multiple fears: fear of constantly being ignored, fear of public speaking, fear of rejection. Then I had multiple other fears, but these were the three main things, right? So I noted down what are the fears which is traumatizing me. So fear of being ignored. That was my entire childhood. Right? No one took me seriously. In fact, I still remember this. It's funny now, but it was kind of serious at that point of time. My family thought mentally I had a low learning rate. They used to take me to temple and say, "Oh Lord Ganapati, give him the knowledge," right? So I'm talking about that kind of, because my brother, everyone was smart around me, right? So I had to go through all that experiences, and so fear of being ignored was always my number one thing. That's why immediately when I started my work in 2006, I told you how I built credibility, trust, and people started noticing me, right? So I was able to overcome the fear of being ignored by doing the work, by being establishing credibility, trust, and then building my personal brand. But the next fear was the biggest fear, which was fear of public speaking, which a lot of people have, right? And till 2011, for the first what, now we are in 2021, man, time moves so slowly in COVID, you don't even remember shit. But the point is, 11 years ago, I had this fear of public speaking. In fact, I remember the story when I was in my eighth grade. I had this crush on this girl, right? And it took me 3 weeks just to say hi to her, because every time she passed me or went near her, I started sweating, I started stuttering. So I was that type of nervous wreck before 2011. But in 2011, this incident happened and changed my whole speaking career. And I'm saying this, sharing the story, because this is something people can do as well if you have fear of public speaking. So I was working at a company, one of the top insurance companies in the US, and it was a normal work day. Then I see this email saying, "Hey, we have a software testing conference in Seattle. You should come and join us," right? Whenever I used to get these emails, I used to keep deleting it. But this time it was different. Something in my mind, all of a sudden there was like a spark bulb moment, like a spark moment in my, all the light bulbs in my head, turned on, because here I was, who wanted to overcome all his fears, but the fear of public speaking has always been haunting me during meetings, during normal communications, normal conversations, right? It was always haunting me and it was pulling me back. Then I thought to myself, maybe this is the sign from the universe that I need to do something about this. So what I did was I spent $3,000, 3,000 US dollars on my own money. And at that time, I didn't have money. I took a credit card and just swiped it. And then I thought I'll repay it later because I had student loans and stuff. But the reason I spent $3,000 was, one thing was my company wasn't ready to sponsor me to go to a conference because they ran out of budget. And second thing was I was not a speaker. There's so no one is going to pay for me. So that's why I had to spend $3,000. But the main thing here was I needed a change in my life. I needed to take some action. So I decided to go to the Seattle conference, and there I felt really comfortable because all the people there in Seattle, I didn't know them. So they won't judge me, because fear of being judged was, remember, another fear of mine. And also they were just random people, but they were great to hang out with. And then I started attending these track sessions given by speakers, and I had an epiphany that, man, I keep talking about fear of public speaking, but what if I actually become a speaker? Because that's the best way to get rid of that fear, right? And so what I did was, at the conference, I started connecting with all the speakers there. I saw some good talks and saw some bad talks, and frankly, it's good that I saw the bad talks, because it proved to me that even I can actually give a talk, right? Then I started connecting with these speakers, took notes on how to write a proposal, how do they prepare, how do you come up with topics, etc., etc. And to cut a long story short, this was in 2011. Then in 2012, I started speaking in small meetup groups because I felt safe. Then in 2013, after 7 months and 23 trial runs, I gave my first conference talk. and it was a huge hit. People are talking about this. There's this funny Indian dude, but he's giving super impactful information. You should go check it out. You should go check it out. Fast forwarding to 2021, I've spoken at over 100 plus conferences. I've done 8 keynotes till now. The reason I'm sharing the story is, if you have a lot of fears, write them down, and then come up with a plan on how you want to change it. Because there's a thing, by the time you die, do you want to still be afraid of things? Or do you want to make a change so that you'll be happy in at least through some portions of your life? So that's a decision you have to make. And there's this amazing saying. It goes like this: we all have two lives. We all have two lives. The second one starts when you realize you have only one. The second one starts when you realize we have only one. With COVID, we know how life can change in an instant. And unfortunately, a lot of people had health issues, a lot of people passed away. You are lucky to be alive, maybe having a job, maybe not having a job, but that's not a point. But you're lucky to be alive and do things. And it's never too late to make the change, because I realized this the hard way. Because for the first 30 years of my life, I realized that I thought that I could never make a change. But gradually, through all these stories which I just mentioned to you, I started learning things which got me to where I am today. So to come back to your question of how I got here, it's because of all these experiences and fears I wanted to tackle. And right now, yeah, I can speak to anyone because I put in a lot of work. So that's why for people watching this, don't believe those Instagram stories where they show happy faces with the book and with the freaking mansion and shit like that, because they don't talk about what are the struggles they have to go through. That's why when people at conferences, when they come to me and say, dude, you're so impactful, inspirational, how can I become you? I would say, yeah, it takes about 15 years, but you'll get there, right? So the point is, you have to do the work. I'm not saying it's going to take 15 years for other people to get rid of it, but it's just that you have to have an action plan. You should have a mindset change. You need to believe in yourself, and you have to map out what you want to do in life. And that's when the change happens. You need to know the destination. For me, I knew I wanted to get rid of my fear of public speaking. That was the destination. And I worked towards it, right? Because our lives are like a GPS system. And that's why I tell people in my talks, where say you're using Google Maps, without putting the destination address, you cannot expect to reach that freaking destination. And then you cannot complain Google Maps is not working properly, because the problem is with you. You didn't know where you're going, right? And our careers, our lives, our testing journey is the exact same way. You have to know where you're going. And I am an average guy, but I can showcase my skill set in a way which is understandable to people, right? If an average guy can make a change, trust me, people watching this, you can make a change as well. But that's kind of my whole long spiel about where I got to, how I got here, because I could easily say that, yeah, I went to a speaking thing and then I became a public speaker, but people do not know the story behind what it actually takes. And for every successful people you see on LinkedIn or Instagram or you meet, remember that there's a story behind them. And if you connect with them, ask them for the story. And the story is going to help inspire you. That story is going to help give you ideas on how you can change your life as well.
I am so pumped up right now after listening to what you've been saying. Uh, it is so inspiring and so insightful at the same time. I want to add something to what you just said, Raj, and I'm sure you would agree with it, that we are living in a day and age where there are a lot of people who are looking for instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
instant success. I call this more like a instant noodle generation. The- you know, and the fact is that even that 2 minutes Maggie noodles, the advertisement that used to come, it doesn't cook in 2 minutes. It takes longer. So it definitely takes longer for you to succeed than you just perceive. So if you are looking for gratification, if you're looking for success, you have to go through the grind. And only when you go through the grind, and like Raj said, I mean, it takes 15 years. He was just saying it, but it takes time, is basically what you have to understand. But you have to take that first step, like he did, went to a conference. So if you do not participate in conferences thinking that they are expensive, they are, boring or whatever, then you might have to rethink your strategy about what you are actually trying to do. And let me tell you this, and Raj, you can, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, that these days, conference access to a conference has become much easier. They've become
Oh,
virtual
100%.
thanks to
They're
COVID.
cheaper.
Yeah, thanks to COVID, they have all become virtual. Nobody is traveling. So you can do it from the comfort of your home. They are much cheaper. And there is a pro tip. If you want to attend a conference for free, just request the organizers saying that you would like to volunteer. And
Exactly.
a lot of times they agree because volunteers have free access. So think about it, work on that strategy, attend, participate in the conference. And when I say participate, discuss. Okay, bring your questions out, show yourself, make yourself visible. And you can do that sitting at the comfort of your homes. When you ask questions, a lot of times conference talks happen, and at the end of your talk there are no questions. I had that recently in December when I did a conference talk, and I was talking about why the Facebook testing strategy doesn't work for me. Okay, it was on test strategy, and I wanted to emphasize on a point that how context is important and things like
Yeah.
that. And at the end of the conference talk, there were no questions. Okay, so what I assumed was that the audience understood everything. Okay,
Right.
that's the optimistic side of me. But there's another side which is like a feedback for me, that perhaps I could make it a little more interesting and a little more interactive next time,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it goes both ways, and these are the learnings that we take as speakers. But as participants, it's important for you to jump in and talk about it. And Raj, thank you for making the very important point of taking the effort of going to that conference in Seattle in 2011 when you attended, and then you got started with your talks in 2013. In the next 7 years, you have literally killed the space. Okay, you are there in almost every conference, every thing. I mean, you were there at TestFlix also, which was again incredible. I was a co-speaker with you at the recent conference, the Test Fest USA, where
Yeah.
you spoke.
Yeah.
I spoke as well. So this is what happens when you see your heroes, people who you have heard for a long time. Now, I may have 20 years of experience, but I am a very late entrant into the space of doing conference talks and things like that. I
So
entered
you're
very
an
late.
example that it's never too late to become a
Yeah,
speaker.
and-
And again, for people who are listening, shouldn't get us wrong though. We're not encouraging everyone that you have to be a speaker. But if there's something which is bothering you in terms of fear of public speaking, or you want to network, it's a good way of
absolutely.
engaging, because you also have amazing communities like Mahesh's Test Tribe. You have so many
Test chat,
different. What's that?
our own
And your test
community.
chat and your test chat. Yeah, sorry, dude. I was just talking to Mahesh yesterday. That's why. But then you have test chat, and you have so many different communities. You have Slack communities, Slack channels. So for your example, when you gave a talk and people are not responding, it's okay that if you feel shy and you don't want to ask questions, but then you can connect with that person via LinkedIn, connect with Brijesh via LinkedIn and say, hey, I just wanted to ask you a question. And that's how relationship starts. And that's how you build your network, right? So right now, like me and you, know a lot of people in the testing community, but you may agree with me that it was a gradual process. You knew one person, and then you establish credibility as a speaker or like a writer, and then people come to you and say, wow, this article was good. Okay, let's have a discussion about it. It keeps growing, 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 and that's how you get to know people. So if anyone is starting off in the software testing industry, or if anyone wants to be part of the testing community, establish a name for themselves, right? I would say first thing is start networking with these people. Next, provide value, because we remember we also were talking about value, because you have to provide some value. You cannot just say, you cannot just comment on my post or Brajesh's post and say, this is good. Hey, dude, can you recommend
Agreed.
me to a conference? Uh, I don't even know you. Just because of one comment, I cannot do that, right? And it's being human, because you are putting your reputation at stake when you recommend someone to a conference. And so that's why you have to develop that relationship and provide value. Go to test chat, go to test drive, answer people's questions, right? And then people would thank you. Now you're providing value. And then you keep doing that. And then things start automatically coming to you. Because this is a thing which I wanted to mention. Um, till about 2018, I was in this frame of mind where I wanted people to recognize me. I wanted to establish credibility, and no one is ever going to ever ignore me. That was the mindset. But mid 2018, something actually happened. Not a lot of people know about this. Wow, this episode, you're getting a lot of insight into
Revolution.
Raj's life, actually, because I don't write about this. I do post about a lot of these incidents on a smaller level, but here's one detail which no one probably knows. So in till mid 2018, I was, yeah, super famous. I was speaking at every freaking testing conference you can imagine. No one was going to ignore me. They knew who Raj was. I had all the fame and money. I'd exponent since I started as a software tester till now. I've increased my salary by 150%. That is because I got promotions really quick, right? Everything was amazing, but then it happened. On the floor. So she was just curious about what the hell was happening. So she comes to the bathroom and she sees me butt naked lying on the floor unconscious, right? And then she starts sprinkling water, shouting so that I gain consciousness back. And luckily I regained consciousness. But I told her, honey, I'm not able to move. I couldn't move. So then she had to drag my body out of the bathroom, and then she laid me on the side of the wall, my back on the side of the wall. And to cut a long story short, I had to go to the ER, and I was diagnosed with uh, high stress, severe dehydration, and I'd suffered severe burnout. That is because I was working myself so much. My body was saying one thing, but my mind was saying another thing. I kept pushing my body, pushing my body, pushing my body, pushing my body. And then I ended up going to the emergency ward, right? And that's when I got my next realization that, wow, all this while, yeah, I've been thinking that I'm making great progress, which I did. But the reason I'm doing work was different. The reason I was doing work back then was to get fame, money, credibility. But then I had a lot of time to think when I was in the emergency room where I couldn't move about life. That's when I realized that, you know what, I really need to change my life, man. Because I don't know if this happens again, whether I'll be alive, right? Because my doctor said it could have been a heart attack. It could have been so many different things because I was overworking myself. That's when I realized that I have to shift my mindset again from fame and money to actually serving and impacting people. And that's also the reason why I do what I do right now. I'm a tech career strategist. What that means is I help people find their dream job and become successful leaders in the tech industry. I was earning a really high six-figure salary in my full-time job before I started my own business, right? Uh, in fact, I could have afforded a basic version of a McLaren or a Ferrari, a basic version with my full-time salary. I was really, really highly paid because, as I said, my salary exponentially increased. But the point was, I felt that I was losing joy from testing. I was losing joy from doing the work. So once I shifted my mindset into serving people, impacting people, that's when I started getting true joy. And a byproduct of that is, yes, you get fame and money, but I can frankly say that it's not as much as I made before in my full-time job. But it makes me get up every morning knowing that I could help people. Since beginning of 2018 till now, I've helped about 34 people,
Awesome.
leaders in the industry, mid to senior level testers. Most of my audience are usually software testers, but the joy in seeing other people exponentially increase their salary, get their dream job, dude, that is just priceless. Because uh, every day when you go to bed, if you think about how we have provided value to people. Yes, you do it through test chat, and there's so many different ways you do it. The way I do it is I serve people to help them become better in their personal lives and career. And I have a knack for doing it based on my experiences because I've proven record of doing that. So I knew I had a skill, and that's what I'm focusing on. The reason I'm sharing all these things is that, yeah, I know that you may not have the money right now and you're looking for the fame, money aspect. It's, I won't say money is important. Yeah, I'm not being idealistic here. Yes, money is important to get you to where you want to be, but that should not be your only goal. You should truly, wholeheartedly actually help someone, not expecting something in return. Because I was this guy till about 2017, I can openly say this. If I helped a person, I used to have back of my mind that, okay, that person is going to help me. He's a very influential person and he'll help me grow, right? That was the mentality, because whenever I do something, I need something in return. But when I shifted my mindset, in fact, right now I have more successes in different ways. Money is not the only thing, right? Because I have success in terms of building my network. I released a book. It became a bestseller. Then I've been on over 40 plus podcasts, right? Really big name podcasts on Apple. And I'm speaking in so many different conferences. Right now, I'm practicing to become a TED speaker because one of my goals in 2021 is to give a TEDx talk, right? So all these things would not have happened if I'd shifted that mindset. So just keep in mind that, yes, fame and money is one thing, but along with that, if you add another aspect of value, that's when real change happens. For me, I'm not religious, but I believe in the universe, right? The universe gives you a sign. Everyone has different belief systems. It could be God, it could be whatever. Uh, but think I believe in karma, right? So the universe show you different signs, shows you different opportunities. And I think based on the way you provide value, based on how true you are in spirit and mind, opportunities actually come your way, right? And then you meet people and things happen. I firmly believe in that because that's what has happened in my life. And I know that has happened in a lot of people's lives. So just something you want to think about when thinking about career options and stuff like that.
Well, thank you for being so candid. Okay, and sharing these things, because these are of utmost value. And I can tell you this, that when people talk to me about career and position and designations and things like that, I ask them just one question. Okay, you're looking for money. Can you please tell me how much is going to be enough? At what
Right.
point you will say that, okay, it's enough? Because that point is very hard for you to decide. But
Right.
if you have that change of mindset, and if you are looking to help people, then that pressure of finding or looking for the enough will go away from you. So that is a very good tip that you've shared. In fact, so many good tips all through the interview. It's full of tips. Now I want to draw everybody's attention to your book, and I
Hmm.
want you to talk about it. So two questions bundled together. What inspired you to write the book? Number one. And number two, why should I read it?
Great question. So since 2016, I had this idea to write a book, but my original book was going to be a memoir about my experience being an immigrant in a foreign land. Because when I came to the United States, I've gone through so many different experiences not a lot of people go through. So I had a lot to share in terms of my relationship. Cops pulled the gun on me, to funny things which have happened. So I've gone through a lot of things. I was a victim of stereotyping, racism, you name it. I've been there, done that. So I wanted to share these experiences with the world because I know a lot of people are going through the same journey even right now. So that was my initial plan. So in 2020, COVID happened. 2020 was going to be my year because I was giving 5 keynotes. I was speaking at 25 other conferences, and it was going to be my time. I was going to speak on stage and impact a lot of people on a large scale. And then again, COVID happened. So the whole speaking circuit was gone because all my talks were like this, like me talking to you. That feel of actually talking in front of a large amount of crowd, all those things have gone, as you know, because you were speaking as well. So one of the main channels for me to impact people was through speaking, because after my talks I used to connect with people. I used to have beers with them, go out with them, talk to them about different things. That's what energized me. But now that whole thing was shut down. That and then I saw that by April time, March time frame, a lot of people had lost jobs in the United States. So what I started doing was I was doing free coaching on LinkedIn. People used to connect with me, they used to tell me that, hey, I lost my job. Can you help me look at my resume? I'm I lost my job. I don't know how to proceed further. I'm so stuck. I have a family. I don't have money. So I started helping people voluntarily. Then I did about 25 to 30 calls like this in the month of March alone, right? And that's when I had this realization that, dude, I've always been thinking about writing a book, but the book was about my memoir. But what if these strategies which I'm helping people with, what if I can share that in a book because it'll reach people on a really large scale? So I pivoted and I changed my topic to career advancement because that's what I help people and coach people. And in that March timeframe alone, out of the 30-35 calls I had, like 4 people were able to get jobs. A couple of people were able to negotiate their salary because of my strategies. And I thought, you know what? This should be in a book. So that's when the seed for the book was planted, because of all these experiences. So I started, I'm in a group of a lot of other entrepreneurs, really successful entrepreneurs, and a couple of them were also wanting to write a book, and they had a writing coach as well. We had a group of people who wanted to produce a book, and Monique, my friend, said, "You know what? Uh, if you want to write a book, you should join my group because we all are trying to write each our own books together and make each other accountable." So I started writing the book on April 27th. Within a month, I completed the majority of the book, but it took me till mid-November to release it because no one tells you that writing is one thing, but then you have the whole production, editing, marketing. It's a whole different ball game. We can even have another episode on where I can talk about how to self-publish and traditional publish, but that's for another talk, another episode. But yeah, I wrote the book within a month, and this is in the middle of me while taking care of my 14-month now 14-month-old son full time from 9 to 4 p.m. I was taking care of him. And writing the book was not my main job because I do career coaching. I write for different companies, Jira. Then I write for GitHub. I write for so many different companies, their blog posts, articles. That is one thing. And then I was also still speaking virtually at many conferences. So I, what I did was I blocked my time from 8 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. every day for that month, and I wrote 1,500 to 2,000 words, and that's how I finished the book because my son sleeps at around 7:30, so I could then start writing. So that's the story of the book of how I came up with the idea. The next question was, why should people read it and how will it impact people? So this is the thing. Currently, people are anxious about their job security.
Yeah.
They feel stuck in their career, and there've been a lot of people who have been laid off, and they're looking for jobs. And
Yep.
finally, you have certain sections of the people who want to advance in their career, but they're afraid to do so because of the fear of the unknowns. And as I described, I was in the exact same situation in 2008, where I was in the middle of recession and I was trying to find a job, right? So in this book, I share different strategies which can help you find your dream job, make you massively successful in it, and it'll help you set yourself miles apart from your competition, because that's the name of the game right now. Because as I said, for every job a person applies, there are probably 1,000 other people applying for the same job, and you need to follow some strategies to make you stand out from the crowd. And that's what this book is going to cover. It's going to teach you all the tips, tricks, and tools based on my real life experiences to show you that the power to make a change is already within you. You just have to untap it, unravel it using the strategies. And what makes this book different from other books? So I read about 25 to 30 books every year. And in fact, you can see some book collections in my background as well. And that's who I am. I'm a sucker for motivational books, biographies, self-help books. And in all these books, or most of these books, they either talk about the experiences or they talk about strategies, but they don't talk about how these experiences weave into these strategies. And that's the gap my book is going to fill in, where I'm going to, just like how you heard some of my real life stories, I will mention that in the book. I mention more stories there. And then a lot of people can relate to the similar kind of journey. Then I tell you strategies on how you can change that situation, right? So the book has different parts. It's like a whole software development life cycle, but now I call it a software development career cycle, life cycle, where I start with how to find your dream job, how do you identify it, and what does that actually mean. Then we get into how to ace interviews, because there's so many different strategies which I've used. Uh, there's something called the hook technique, the 90-day plan. There's so many things which I've used. Then how to negotiate your salary. That is a hard part which a lot of people have. Then you get into your job. How do you be successful in it?
Yeah.
And then once you succeed, now how do you set yourself miles apart from the competition? So that's the next section. And the final section is how to exponentially increase your growth. In that section, I talk about advanced LinkedIn strategies, art of delegation, morning routines, how to plan your day, how to plan your week. Because as leaders, we work on multiple things. Then right now with COVID, you have family, you have work. How are you going to manage? How are you going to perform? How are you going to still be productive? So I talk about all those things in the final section. But that's the whole circle of what my book covers and why people need to buy it. So just to wrap it up in terms of the book, if you are looking for guidance in terms of what you want to do in your career, if you are at the forking point of your career and you want some actionable strategies, if you want to get into leadership roles, and if you want to if you are going through high self-doubt, low self-esteem, and feel that whatever work you do is not getting recognized, then this book is for you. This book is going to help all the underdogs. For me, I consider all testers as underdogs because in general, we get overlooked for a lot of things. So this book is going to really help people especially the underdogs, because I was one, and it's going to really transform your life. And that's the reason why uh, it became a bestseller as well, because when people buy the book, they're going to read it, they're going to review it. If they don't like the book, then they're not going to buy it, right? But now, since the book is out of stock, it shows that people have got value. And as I said, the book is only 99 pages. It's a really fast read, because I know people do not have time to read like 400-page books. So yeah, you can even skip through chapters, find out the chapter about the salary, find out chapters about interviews, and you could figure it out however you want to. But that's the whole story about the book, and it's going to be really, really impactful. And that is something I'm really proud of, because it was hard to write a book in the middle of a pandemic while managing your work and taking care of your family. And yeah, I'm really proud of that. And yeah, go definitely check it out. I believe Brijesh will put the links, but
I
all
will.
information about the book can be found at skyrocketyourcareerbook.com. Skyrocketyourcareerbook.com. There, I know people, including me, I'm hesitant to buy a book unless I know what I'm getting into. So I'm giving the first chapter for free for people. You can go download the first chapter from my website, and then you yourself can make a decision whether that book is going to be impactful or not. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole story about my book and who will be benefited from it.
Well, that is awesome. That is great insight and great reasons for people to buy the book. And I can promise you that although you said that you can skip the chapters, nobody's going to skip. I can guarantee that once they start reading, they're not going to skip that. I am, just so eagerly waiting for the book to arrive. Let's see how soon I can get it, but I'm sure when people place their orders, they also will get it quickly. Hopefully, that happens soon.
So this is what I'm going to do for you. And this podcast recording is the proof of it. So after our podcast recording, I'm going to send you my ebook so that you can start reading it while you wait for the paperback, because you've been super, super supportive. And
Oh, that is awesome. In fact, you know what? I was anyways thinking of ordering it online, but if you're sending it, well, I couldn't be happier.
I'll send it to
Yeah,
you, because again, for people to remember, people need to know this. When you write a book, it doesn't mean that you're going to make money off it, because that's a wrong assumption, because
yeah,
people
yeah,
do
yeah,
not
yeah.
know how the book world works.
Yes.
Because I self-publish my book, which means that I pour in the freaking money to get the book out there. Yes, Amazon and other publications house the book, but I have to spend the money on editing, writing, and all those stuff, right? And my book is selling for $10 paperback, while other books are selling for like $24, right? Because the main reason, again, this goes back to impact and vision, right? You shouldn't forget why you're doing what you're doing. The reason I want the book to be out is it has to be affordable and impactful, right? So it's only $10 for the paperback, and I did that so that even people who do not have jobs or looking for jobs can afford it, right? So you don't make money. For people who want to write a book to make money, talk to me, because you won't make money, because it's a long game. It takes over 2-3 years for you to get the traction and stuff. But I'm lucky that my book has got great reception, so people are buying it. But remember that I'm doing this mainly for the impact, so that's why I said I'll send you the ebook,
Thank you,
and
thank
you
you,
can
thank you
start
so much.
reading it.
I will tell you this that when Pradeep Saundararajan last year he launched his book,
Uh-huh.
Design Testing. The day he launched it, I ordered it immediately, and like I did in your case as well. But for that time, it was like, okay, it'll come in 3 days. So
Uh-huh.
2 days or 3 days was the period. So I don't know. I was so impatient at that time, uh, and more so because I had nothing else to do, because we
Right.
were all locked down at home, and wondering what was going on. So I got the ebook also. Purchased it,
Right.
immediately. Okay, and I
Right.
read it, and then when the book arrived, I read it again, and here it is. Okay, I keep a copy of it all the time with
Nice.
me. So the same thing is going to happen when your ebook arrives. I'm going to read it in like a flash. 99 pages would take me about an hour, hour and a half of quick reading, but then I'll read it slowly again. And
Right.
when your paperback comes, I will read it over and over and over again, like I do with this book. That's been my reading style of late. I once I get started, I don't stop until I finish it. So
Right. Nice.
if it takes me the entire night to read it, I will spend the entire night reading it. That's how it is. And now that you've spoken so much, there is so much information that's going to be coming through. There are so many stories that are going to come through. I am really looking forward to it, and really excited. Okay, so
Thank you.
that
Yeah, it is kind of slightly unfortunate that a lot of people are waiting for the book, but it's a good thing and a bad problem. A good thing is my book is sold out. And Amazon, as I said, they'll get only 100 copies first, and then they'll see how the sales is. Next time they'll order 200 copies, they'll see how the sales is. So they increase it based on the demand. But unfortunately, and fortunately for me, is the demand is more than the supply. So I've been encouraging people to at least get the ebook, and then when the paperback comes into stock, I'm just sending it to them for free. So, and these things were not I didn't think about these things before, but now I can say this where, so whoever watches this video and who wants a book and the paperback is not available, go get the ebook and message me. I'm going to send you a paperback for free. So that's for
awesome.
whoever is watching this, and you have to tag me and Brijesh saying, "Hey, I bought the ebook." If you tag me, of course, I get automatically notified because I live on LinkedIn. I'll see the notification, and I'll send you a free paperback. And this offer is for people who watch this, right? So, and when we put this episode out, we can put that as well. I'm just thinking about it as I'm speaking, because again, I really want to make an impact. So, just because the book is out of stock, people should not limit themselves to think, man, now I'm not able to get the book. I want to make sure everyone gets a book. And yeah, that's something which I could do to help the community as well. So,
Well, this episode is going to be going, published in a few hours' time. So when people, especially people in India, when they wake up in the morning, they should see that notification of the episode on their phones. So they should watch this. In fact, uh, I am pretty excited about the book, like I told you, and I am also excited about the response that is going to come our way after people listen to all these advice, because I know for sure that a lot of people out there are looking for career advice, are looking for ways to do great things like you've been doing. So I'm waiting for that response. And having said that, I want to move on to the next segment of my interview, which is a little rapid fire, where I'll ask you a few questions, and you only have 5 seconds to think of an answer for that question. And if it is a multiple choice question, you have to give reason to support your answer. Okay. All right. So,
okay.
okay. So, first question: how many T-shirts do you have?
I have 10 t-shirts.
Only.
Yeah, I have only 10 t-shirts. As I was saying, I'm a minimalist. I donated 3/4 of my wardrobe in 2017 because literally I wear only the same set of t-shirts again and again. So I literally have only about 10 t-shirts.
And I
So
like what's written on your T-shirt today. Where
thanks. I
this.
designed these as well. So people who are watching can go check out my store. I actually designed these t-shirts and I'm pretty proud of it as well.
And I'm going to probably put this line on your T-shirt on the on the caption of this video. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, you should. You know what? As and when we're thinking, I'm thinking about so many ideas. That's what I do. I'm also gonna give your viewers a discount code in case they want to buy any T-shirts or something. Let's say 50% discount. I don't know. So the point is, again, I don't, yeah, I don't do this for the money, right? So 50% discount for all viewers who tag me, because this it ships worldwide. So I'll get 50% discount for anyone who
Excellent, excellent.
wants to.
Thank you. See, this is so the audience. This is what happens when I talk to people. You get freebies. So you should you can thank me later for all the freebies you're getting. Well, my next
And
question to
trust
you,
me,
Raj,
folks.
is sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, trust me, folks. Me and Brajesh didn't plan all these things. I'm just
No,
saying things as and when it comes. We don't script any of the conversations. It
no, it is,
just
it is all
whatever.
unscripted, and for those guests who have been on my show, they can vouch for it that this is absolutely unscripted. Well, moving over to my next question. So I know you like traveling a lot. Which is your favorite travel destination?
Favorite would be I loved Estonia, Tallinn, Estonia,
Wow.
Tallinn. Yeah, it is amazing. Uh, Super awesome culture. And the time I went, I know this rapid fire round. I should not be telling
That's
details,
okay.
but
That's okay. No, no. You are a storyteller, Raj. So stories is what we expect from you.
so I if any of you go to, and Brijesh is more of an expert than me when it comes to Europe because he lives in Europe. If you go to Estonia, Tallinn, Estonia, I spoke at a conference there a number of times. During the summer season, you have out of 24 hours, I think for like 15, 16 hours, you have sun. So
Yes.
literally at midnight, you'll still have sun. It'll be like as if it's like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and you can go around and all stores are open. I don't know whether that's the case in your place, but I love that culture and love that the whole thing of and they're so advanced, man. 99% of the city is electronic.
Yes.
For people to file their taxes, they can do it less than 3-4 minutes. For
Yeah.
me in the US, to file my taxes, it takes hours and hours because we're still way behind when it comes to technology. But yeah, so Tallinn, Estonia is an amazing place. Highly, highly recommend it.
Awesome. And my next question to you is, what's your favorite South Indian food? I'm asking this to a
Whoa,
South
we're
Indian.
talking
Why
to a
this?
true South Indian here. Man, wow. I love dosas, man. I love dosas. Dosas are my favorite. I love utapam, which is my favorite. And yeah, dosas are my favorite. I can have unlimited amount of dosas. And for people who do not know this, I was 50 pounds heavier till 2016. Then on January 1st, 2016, I decided I'm going to lose weight and I lost 50 pounds in 6 months. And since then I've been this way, but I was this big because I loved South Indian food and I was huge. But now I still eat similar kind of similar amount of food, but I do work out as well. So, but yeah, dosas are my favorite food.
Well, no, it was a question normally I ask other guests, but I thought since you are from originally from Chennai, it'll be fun to ask you about your favorite South Indian food because
I know I love that.
because if you ask somebody from say the northern part of India, they will immediately say dosa or idli because it's easier if you're not from that region to spot one or say choose one dish. But if you eat day in day out same kind of food and they're all so wonderful dishes, then it's very difficult to choose.
I
So
know, man, it's so hard. South Indian food is just amazing.
all
And
right, all right,
yeah,
and I sorry, go
I
ahead.
know I have this. I have this weird accent and stuff, but at heart I'm Pakka local Chennaiite. So yeah, so I still eat the local stuff as well, and I cook quite a bit myself. So yeah.
Yeah. So my final question is also, you know, out of Chennai only. So do you really enjoy the summertime in Chennai?
So there are two folds, there are two parts though, two scenarios, just like a test case scenario. If you grow up in Chennai, you find that that's normal. It's part of who you are, and you get used to it. But if you grew up in Chennai, came to the US like me, settled in the US, and then go back to Chennai to visit, that's a different ball game there. Oh my God, it's so freaking hot, man. It's so humid, so hot. That's why I think Bangalore, even Hyderabad has good weather. But in Chennai, it's so freaking hot. And so, yeah, if for people who grow up there, yeah, they find it normal. But for me, now it's really hard to go back during summer season because, yeah, it's so humid. But one good thing during summer season is it's mango season.
Yes.
If you think you know about mango, come to Chennai and then you'll know, or Hyderabad for Andhra Pradesh or Hyderabad for our Chennai, you'll see that like so many different varieties of mangoes and it's just amazing.
Or
So that is something I look forward to if I go during the
even
summer season.
Karnataka for that matter. I mean,
Oh, Karnataka too? Okay.
yeah. Ratnagiri, I mean, very famous for its mangoes and
Nice.
the whole Alfonso mangoes, the ones that go all over the world. They
Yeah.
originate from that part of the world. So yeah, mangoes are awesome. And that reminds me, I will share a bit about mangoes. Here in the Netherlands, of course, we don't get mangoes growing here, so it all comes from different countries. So this year we tasted mangoes from Brazil,
Nice.
from South Africa, from Morocco, from Egypt, and another country. Okay, and I will tell you this, that the Brazilian mango was this big, but it was super tasty. And
Nice.
I went looking for that Brazilian mango, and the storekeeper, they told me that it was gone in like 2 days. The entire stock disappeared, and they were not going to get another batch. So that that is how crazy it goes here as well. But it's one of the things about living in a country which doesn't grow things like that,
Right.
or fruits like that you get the same fruit from different countries and you still enjoy it.
I
Uh,
know. So for people in India, if you plan to come outside India, say settle down outside India, make sure you relish all those mangoes and all those food items because once you come outside India, yeah, you don't get that many varieties and stuff like that. So
yeah. Well, Raj, I have been speaking to you for a really long time. We didn't realize how long we've been speaking to each other, but it's wonderful. I want to just ask you one last question. What does Raj do when he's not testing?
when Raj is not testing, uh, he travels and drinks craft beer. And because of COVID, I haven't traveled for close to a year now. But I love craft beer. For people who do not know, I at one point of time I had 150 different types of craft beer in my basement. And with COVID, of course, I ended up drinking a lot. So we now have about 15, 20 varieties of beer. But that's what I do. Even when I do a lot of international speaking, what I do is I buy canned beers, I roll them in a towel, and then I check them to the US, and then I store it in my basement, which has multiple fridges, and then I keep it cold. And the basement is super cold in general, so the beers do not go bad. And my consumption rate to the expiration rate, right? There's a lot of gap, and so I can make sure all the beers are completed on time. But that's what I do. If I'm not testing, I drink craft beer.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, so much for speaking to me today. It was absolutely awesome. I mean, this is our first, you know, interaction face to face, but
Right.
it didn't feel like the first one. It feels like as if I've known you for a long time. I've been following you for a long time, like I said. I mean, you are really a source of energy. I mean, if I'm feeling low, I just would listen to your talk maybe for 5 minutes. Also, that gives me that energy. So keep doing what you're doing. You are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Raj.
Thank you so much for having me. And I also want to acknowledge you for what you're doing for the community through the test chats, through these video series. I think people benefit from listening to these things because they are these golden nuggets which you can pick up from these conversations, and people can implement in their lives as well. And you provide the channel to them. So I want to acknowledge you for impacting the community, and it was so much fun being here. We could always do more episodes on different
Yes,
other
of course,
topics.
of course, of
Writing
course.
a book is a whole 5-hour topic, but the point is I can even talk about how people can write books and stuff. But overall, this was an awesome experience, and really, really, I'm I want to thank you for having me. And for those people who want to connect with me, I'm super active on LinkedIn. So literally
I am
follow
going
me and
to I
message
am
me.
going to share all the social media details and everything that Raj has spoken about. Link to his book, link to his blog site, everything I'm going to put in the description box of this video, so people don't have to go anywhere. You will get everything. Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Raj, for talking to me today. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day and a great year ahead.
Same to you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.